to hear some of the things we say off the air sometimes.
All right, I'll start recording you guys, don't you worry.
Fair be fair, boo.
Hey.
Oh, come on, man.
Me. Good morning.
Go straight ahead, Femi.
Thank you so much. Morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Professor Killer.
Good morning.
Good to see you all. Let me tell you about what is happening around the world. Now, Brazil's Prosecutor General has formally charged former President Jair Bolsonaro with attempting a coup to stay in office after his 2022 election defeat in a plot that included a plan to poison his successor and current president, who we're seeing here, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, as well as shooting dead a Supreme Court justice. Now, in November, Brazil's federal police filed an 884-page report with the prosecuting detailing this scheme. They allege a systematic effort by Jair Bolsonaro, who you can see on your screen there, to sow distrust in the electoral system, drafting a decree to provide legal cover for the plot, pressuring top military brass to go along with the plan, and inciting a riot in the capital. Now, the Supreme Court will analyze the charges, and if accepted, Bolsonaro will stand trial. It is important to note, though, that Bolsonaro denies any wrongdoing. Moving on to the Vatican, and the Vatican has cancelled papal audiences for the rest of the week and has delegated others to cover for Pope Francis. That's as the 88-year-old Pope remains hospitalized with pneumonia in both lungs. Now, the Pope was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital last Friday with bronchitis, which he had been struggling with for more than a week, but it has since worsened to what we're hearing now is pneumonia in both of his lungs. Now, the cancellations of these events put a damper on upcoming events of the Vatican's Big Holy Year, which is a celebration held every 25 years to encourage pilgrims to come to Rome and participate in special Jubilee activities. 30 million people are expected to arrive in the Italian city for the Holy Year, which is packed with special papal audiences and masses throughout 2025, some of which have now been put into question given Pope Francis' illness at the minute. And then finally, a 13-year-old domestic help named Ikra has died, allegedly killed by her employers in Pakistan's Rawalpindi area over accusations of stealing chocolate. Now, police say a preliminary investigation showed that Ikra had been tortured and there was evidence of frequent abuse. The girl's employers, Rashid Shafiq and his wife Sana, along with a Quran teacher who worked for the family, have been arrested. The teacher allegedly brought Ikra to the hospital and left her there, telling staff there that her father had passed away and that her mother was not present, both of which are not true. Both of her parents still are alive. The incident has sparked a wave of outrage, with the hashtag Justice for Ikra gaining tens of thousands of views across social media. It has also reignited discussions on child labour and the abuse of domestic workers in the country. Child labour laws do differ across the country, but in Punjab, children under the age of 15 are prohibited from being employed as domestic workers. As we can hear, the Ikra was 13 years old, and she was...
Just like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Just like yesterday, but unlike yesterday, here there is abuse, there is murder, and there is lying. Well, I think there was a bit of lying yesterday as well, although we didn't have the proof. But yesterday, we referred to the case of the Ugandan PhD student who's a judge with the UN, who's accused of enslaving a child in the UK. This is a case here. Is a case people should think about because it is more common than we think. This idea of maltreating children, and it is vicious because, for a very simple reason, you know, from the story of the bad stepmother, the step-parent, to this slave owner of child. The idea that one can, in cold blood, at least deliberately, met out different treatment to their own child, an equal child, is something that is personal but also has a lot of collective consequence. It's like a flaw in our humanity. When we lose that social instinct, some people say it's not natural. Some people argue it's natural, but I like the social instinct theory that when you say a child, what should come to your mind is to protect, not to abuse or exploit.
Agreed.
All
Agreed.
right, let me tell you, obviously this is very close to my heart, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we've taken the stories, this kind of stories, back to back, consecutively, because the the idea of doing this and really analyzing this properly is because we face a similar situation here, and we don't want to have to report stories like this for us to highlight the ills and the dangers therein. This girl, despite the law in place that a minor cannot work as a domestic staff, was employed at the age of 8. And her father said he did this. And this is a story that, as I say it, a lot of people would be familiar with. You would know one or two people whose stories sound like this. Her father said he was in huge debt. He's a farmer.
Yes.
And so because of that, at the age of 8, he sent his daughter out to work. The first thing is that obviously the work that she has gone to do will not benefit her in any way, shape, or form. It would go to paying off her father's debt. Mm-hmm. There's a place of protection of the rights of a child and the culpability or the responsibility of agencies that are responsible for that. Also the fact that we have laws in place, even in Nigeria, but they are not enforced. And when you have a place like Pakistan, where there's high level of poverty and laws are not enforced, you're going to see a lot of people violate those laws, and you're going to fail a lot of children, as we have seen. It's not an uncommon occurrence. In fact, in 2018, another wealthy judge or couple had done the same thing, but this time it didn't result in death. The other aspect of this is this thing around forgiveness, let's move on, again, usually motivated by money. That they would sentence the culprits to court, even those who actually get to court, and then they'll find a way to settle out of court. And in Pakistan, the tradition or the culture is that as long as you're able to say, I forgive you in the name of God, yes, you can settle out of court. So you see how the state consistently fail children. It's not in like other places. You know, you talked about the other girl in the United Kingdom, that they're now looking and reviewing policies because of the maltreatment that was meted out on her by her parents. That's what we should be looking at. The unfortunate thing is that we have these laws on ground. Yes. We are signed to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. But do we implement them? How many children do we know that are working as housemaids, in homes? How many children do we see that are not in school, even though there is a policy that every child under a certain age should be in school? Yes. And then this thing around poverty. One of the people had said that this is not just a crime, it is a reflection of a system that enables the rich to treat the poor as disposable. Does that sound familiar? Absolutely. So when you see a place where the poverty levels are high, yes, you will see incidents like this. It is the responsibility of the state to protect the children, and it's the responsibility of other adults to call it out and actually report these cases, and the responsibility of the courts to ensure that justice is meted out.
Okay. I mean, the truth has to be said. We live in an unfair world. It is the same world that we all lived. And that's why when some of us are calling for reparation and some people are supporting people like Trump and they say our mouth is smelling, it is the same world that we all lived, that a white man said that a black man is not even fit to be human during the slave trade. In fact, they would sell 2 black men to 1 white man. In fact, we all know the history of things like Black Friday today and the racist past. We all know in the antebellum South how black people were sold. We didn't even have human status. So today when we call for reparation and fairness, and yesterday when I was calling for capital, because all of this is a problem of capital mobilization. What is poverty? Poverty is a problem of capital mobilization. Once there's a level of equality, equal sharing of capital, you will reduce poverty. It's been proven anywhere in the world. As regards Bolsonaro, we all saw his behavior after he lost the election. Yes, they might say it's a witch hunt, but we want the investigation to go on. As regards the Pope, machinations are already going on. The man is still alive, he's not passed. He's got bilateral pneumonia, he's getting through his course of his medicine, but already the politics that is going on in the Vatican is crazy. Recently, he held on to the guy that was in charge, that's Battista Re, that was in charge of the Cardinal, the College of Cardinals, the Dean of the College of Cardinals, because there's a big division in the Catholic Church as we speak. The conservatives and the liberal. Pope Francis is a big conservative. And, I mean, he's a big liberal.
Yes.
On the other side, yeah.
Joseph Ratzinger, the former pope, was from the conservative school, the school that upheld the dogma. Because of his liberal stance on many issues, a lot of more people have come into the church. But those that believe in dogma, the conservative stand and say we're not going to have any of this. So when you see the political calculation going on, people are already talking about the conclave. Things like he has done because he's a liberal. For the first time, the Vatican is going to have the first female governor, their sister. So it's going to go down to the wires. We're not praying for his death. We pray Papa should live long. But it's going to go down to the wires when conclaves happen. In an event, if it passes, but be not afraid, he will still live his dedicated years on that as God wills. But the two branches of the church are gearing up. The dogma part, the conservative part, and the liberal part of the church.
We'll have to see. Well, thank you all for your great analysis. Let's move on to the newspapers for today. And as ever, let's begin with the front cover of This Day. And This Day leads with the Netherlands agreeing to return 119 Benin bronzes to Nigeria. It'll be the single largest return of Benin antiques taken by the British. Now, the bronzes are expected to arrive in Nigeria later on this year. The New Telegraph leads with lawmakers calling for the intervention from President Tinubu as they announce a 40% of farmlands in Benue State, the breadbasket of Nigeria, so it's so often referred to, has been taken over by bandits. In addition to the tribute to the dearly departed Edwin Clark, The Guardian also reports on the federal government launching a nationwide crackdown on so-called miracle centres. Now, miracle examination centres are private secondary schools across the country that are accused of facilitating exam fraud. They are known for promising students success in their final exams, regardless of their actual merit. The Daily Sun and the Tribune join a list of papers reporting on the Central Bank of Nigeria getting tough on bad loans, calling on directors of banks with non-performing and insider-related loans to resign. For clarity, an insider loans are given by banks to their own executives, directors, employees, shareholders, or related partners. And then The Punch, it leads with at least 450 service officers in 109 Nigerian missions abroad have yet to receive their salaries for the past 5 to 6 months. That's on the front cover of The Punch this morning. The acting spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimyebi Ebienfa, has acknowledged the financial challenges facing the Nigerian missions and has assured that leadership is working to resolve the issue. Let's take a look at our UK papers this morning. And The Guardian and the Daily Telegraph, both papers are reporting on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Guardian says that following the talks in Riyadh, the United States and Russia have agreed to explore economic and investment opportunities. This is, of course, triggering more concern that a US brokered peace deal to end the war in Ukraine would be more favorable to Russia. Now, Donald Trump has already incorrectly blamed Ukraine for starting the war with Russia, which obviously is not true. And then you have the Daily Telegraph reporting that Donald Trump is demanding elections to be held in Ukraine, which may well see Volodymyr Zelensky ousted from power as the price of peace. So a lot are going there. Yes, we will. Go ahead.
Okay, real quickly. We saw the meeting go on yesterday without a Ukrainian representative. Marco Rubio, another security advisor from America, met with the likes of Sergei Lavrov, and there was another, I think, Yushakov, the Russian 77-year-old foreign relations aide of Putin. There was another person that was supposed to be in the meeting, which is another investment banker guy that was Putin's daughter's friend, but he couldn't make it. What are the talks? The talks are around territory and all of that. But Rubio says preliminary talks and all of that. But as that was going on also, they had talks in Europe yesterday,
yes,
which were reported, which the likes of Keir Starmer said, okay, we are going to watch this, but we need an American backstop. At first, we would like to see the reaction of Zelensky to this. Obviously, it's not going to be good.
Right.
Because you are having a conversation where you are not carrying Ukraine along. Mm-hmm. And Sergei Lavrov did say initially that any conversation that is going to be had will not involve relinquishing territories that they have taken already.
Exactly.
So what you are saying is that you are going to partition a part and give it to Russia. That's exactly what causes chaos. And that's why I keep talking about the Trump approach. Is either going to start the Third World War or make it rife to start the Third World War. Let's go back historically. We all know what partitioning did to people in Germany after the Second World War, where different sectors were partitioned, the American section and all of that. It destabilized, opened up the possibility, and that's why you had a divided Germany that had to be reunited in 1990 when the Berlin Wall came down. So we should be careful.
Just very quickly, the New Telegraph paper with regards to Benue, lawmakers calling on the president to intervene on farmlands. 40% of it from Benue State, and that's just one state in Nigeria. I say this because earlier on when we were talking about the CPI rebasing, the numbers, the inflation numbers, we talked about investment in agriculture. These are some of the challenges that we're facing, and this is not what monetary policy will fix. Fiscal policy will fix.
I thought you said the insecurity has
No,
improved on
but
that.
yes, it has. It's better. I didn't say that it was.
Benue farmers were taken over by bandits.
I knew you were going to point out
and
I was waiting for that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. Yes, I didn't
Okay.
say that it was eradicated. I just said it was better
It has
handled
improved, and 40% of
under
Benue
this
farmland
administration.
administration. Okay.
The farmlands, and I said it that the herders that we used to have, the herder-farmer clashes.
Yes.
We've seen a reduced number of those incidents, at least at the moment. And what we're now calling for is a recovery of these lands that have been left unfarmed. A lot of the farmers say that the reluctance to go into farming is still that fear that they will not be protected. And so something has to be done about that. If not, we're going to continue to talk about investment in agriculture, but if they're not going to their farmlands, it's nothing for us. So just to highlight that point, that it's important that as we look at monetary policy, let the fiscal side of things do its job, including security architects.
We have people working for us abroad who are not paid for 6 months.
Yes.
Correct.
Big story.
That's shocking.
Switzerland,
It's unacceptable. I mean, it's not acceptable because in this country, you don't go to your uncle and beg for money. There's nobody helps you. It's exactly your salary you have to live on. Two things there. I mean, one, the obvious, you feel bad for people who are not paid. But the second is there's somebody who's charged and paid to manage salaries every month. 6 months is a long time. What happened the first month? A week delay, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You go to how many weeks delay? I mean, what are they telling them? What's the person in charge? Are they saying the money's coming or we're working on it? That vexatious expression I get when people I ask for things and they tell me they're working on it. If they keep waiting for months and they don't get their salary, what are they going to do? They're going to start stealing.
Yep.
They're going to start doing corrupt things. So we need to be careful.
Yes.
I think we should take this serious.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Shocking. This is 6 months out. It's enough to be owed salary in your own country. Outside, what are you going to do? All right. Well, thank you so much, Adefemi, for highlighting these stories and, of course, taking us to World Beef this morning.